Zechariah says to Zerubbabel, hey, remember this. It's not by might. It's not by power. But it's by my Spirit, says the Lord. And so that brings us to this place in chapter 5 of the book of Ezra. And we pick it up in verse 1. It says, Then the prophet Haggai and Zechariah, the son of Iddo, prophets, prophesied to the Jews who were in Judah and Jerusalem in the name of the God of Israel who was over them. Now I want to point out one thing here to you. I think this might be the first time, or it's one of the first times, that the term Jews is used in the Old Testament. Up to this point, they're referred to as Israel. The word Jews wasn't around because what Jews is it's actually referring to the tribe of Judah. It was the tribe of Judah and the tribe of Benjamin who returned and resettled down in what became known as Judah, or later became known as the province of Judea, where the Jews lived. That's where that term came from, the Jews. So Zerubbabel, the son of Shealtiel, and Yeshua, the son of Jozadak, rose up and began to build the house of God, which is in Jerusalem, and the prophets of God were with them, helping them. At the same time, Tattenai, the governor of the region beyond the river, and Shethar-Boznai and their companions came to them and spoke thus to them, Who's commanded you to build this temple and finish this wall? And then accordingly we told them the names of the men who were constructing this building. But the eye of their God was upon the elders of the Jews, so that they could not make them cease till a report could go out to Darius. Then a written answer was returned concerning this matter. This is a copy of the letter that Tattenai sent, the governor of the region beyond the river, and all these guys, and his companions, the Persians who were in the region beyond the river, to Darius the king. They sent a letter to him in which was written thus, To Darius the king, all peace. Let it be known to the king that we went into the province of Judea, to the temple of the great God, which is being built with heavy stones, and timber is being laid in the walls, and this work goes on diligently and prospers in their hands. Then we asked those elders and spoke thus to them, Who commanded you to build this temple and to finish these walls? We also asked them their names to inform you, that we might write the names of the men who were chief among them. They not only came to find out what was going on, they took names in order to send it back to the king. And thus they returned us an answer saying, We are the servants of the God of heaven and earth, and we are rebuilding the temple that was built many years ago, which a great king of Israel built and completed. But because our fathers provoked the God of heaven to wrath, he gave them into the hand of Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, the Chaldeans, who destroyed this temple and carried the people away to Babylon. However, in the first year of Cyrus, king of Babylon, King Cyrus issued a decree to build this house of God. Also the gold and silver articles of the house of God, which Nebuchadnezzar had taken from the temple that was in Jerusalem and carried into the temple of Babylon, those King Cyrus took from the temple of Babylon, and they were given to one named Sheshbazzar, whom he had made governor. And he said to him, Take these articles, go, carry them to the temple site that is in Jerusalem, and let the house of God be rebuilt on its former site. Then the same Sheshbazzar came and laid the foundation of the house of God, which is in Jerusalem. But for that time, even until now, it has been under construction, and it is not finished. Now therefore, if it seems good to the king, let a search be made in the king's treasure house, which is there in Babylon, whether it is so that a decree was issued by King Cyrus to build this house of God at Jerusalem, and that the king send us his pleasure concerning this matter. So what's going on here? Well, basically, these guys came in, authoritarians from the local area, the governor of Samaria, and says, What are you guys doing? You're building this temple. What are you doing? Who told you you could do this? Who told you you could do this? By what authority are you doing this? Are you building this temple? I don't think you have the authority. Nobody told me about this. Nobody told us about this. I don't think you can do this. Give me your names. I'm sending your names into the king, and we'll find out about this. We've been looking and making application here to the fact that building the temple, it can be compared to us after establishing our relationship with Jesus Christ, building in us personally and corporately our worship of God and the way that we deal with God. There are lots of Christian churches that are all believers in Jesus Christ, and we're going to join with them around the throne of God and sing His praises forever. Although we're not doing that today. They're singing in another language. They're singing according to other rituals. They're singing at other times of the day. But one day we will all stand around the throne together. Because they are worshiping God through Jesus Christ, believing in His death and resurrection. That's the key. The rest of it, well, a lot of it we add on. And we try to add on according to the Scriptures, or at least we ought to. But the rest of that is add-on. It's the religious part of our lives. It needs to be in place. It needs to be in place biblically and correctly. But it doesn't have to be the same as the guys down the street who also love Jesus and are saved by Him. When we run into opposition, whether it be personally or corporately, in how we are setting up our way of following and worshiping God, we're going to run into opposition. It's going to happen. Perhaps you come from a religious tradition, the same one I came from, although my parents were not rigid in it, but perhaps you came from a religious tradition that when you became saved, your family said, well, what's that? Well, what's that? What do you mean you're going to leave the church of your mother and father and go somewhere else? Why? This is the way. This is the religion of your heritage, of your father and your grandfather and your great-grandfather. Why are you leaving that? Maybe you encountered that kind of opposition. When we moved into this building, we bought this building. We actually own this building that we are in. God gave us the means to be able to do that. Actually, the Lord owns it, and He's put upon the heart of PNC Bank to give us enough money to pay for this and let us pay it back on a regular basis. But when we first moved into this building, I remember coming in here the first time with the real estate agent we had. We almost bought another building, and I'm so thankful to God we didn't buy that building every time I see that building and realize that God's grace was in it. And we were close. We were really close. We put it in offer. There was a counter offer. We had prayed and said, this is the highest we will go. And that building sold for, I think it was $1,000 above what our offer was. That's how close that guy was to giving it to us. But thank God, he listened to God, whether he knew it or not, and didn't sell it to us. But when I first came into this building with the real estate agent, and he told me what the price of the building was and the condition of it and so forth, and I said, that's way too much money. We can't. That's out of our price range. Why are you showing me this building? Well, I think they'll negotiate. So we came in and we looked at it, and when you walked in, is entirely different in the front end of things. A couple of the rooms we've managed to utilize, but basically we ripped out everything in the front. You came in, there was an office area, and then when you came back in here, there was a kitchen, not like we have now. It was more like just a really small little kitchen and bathroom. And then this area had been a giant warehouse, no ceiling. And on this side, then it had been divided. So on that side, it was a computer place where they built computers. They assembled computer components. And this side was a karate studio. And there was a dock back there and a couple other rooms back there. Very different.